Hi, this is Kevin Glavin, and I'm going to talk today a little bit about Rockstar's Rainbow and talk about my intentions with the book and hopefully clear up any confusion some readers might have. So, my original inspiration was to explore celebrity culture, how we're somewhat obsessed with it, whether their lives are going well or not. We want to know every little detail. We have entire magazines, TV shows, websites devoted to celebrities, and we're really quite fascinated with their lives. And I just wanted to explore that. Really, celebrities should have a lot of happiness, right? They have everything they could possibly want, pretty much. Yet somehow a lot of their lives go off the track and turn out very tragically, unfortunately. And so this was what I was interested in. This is a quote from from Hawthorne. Happiness in this world, when it comes incidentally. Make it the object of pursuit, and it leads us a wild goose chase, and is never attained. Follow some other object, and very possibly we may find that we have caught happiness without dreaming of it. And so Hawthorne really hit the nail on the head here of how elusive happiness can be, not just for celebrities, but for everybody. And so this was my starting point. And once I had a topic I wished to explore, I had to figure out how to write about it. What was my approach going to be? I was thinking of using transparent prose, where the reader would only have to read the sentence once. There would be no need to read it twice, three, four, or five times to figure out any deeper meaning. A very straightforward narrative meant for pure entertainment and a mainstream audience. So this was one approach I was thinking of. And the other approach was something more complex, a literary approach, where there might be a lot of levels of meaning. The problem with the literary approach is some people may not understand what you're trying to achieve, but that's okay. And at the same time, you have a smaller audience with literature. Conversely, it does seem to stand the test of time. So eventually, I decided for this particular book, I wanted to use the literary approach. I could always maybe try the mainstream approach for a later work. And then once I decided that I wanted to take this literary approach, I had to decide what type of literature I wanted to pursue. And I decided on satire, especially when I found out that my ancestors, the Gaelic name Glavin, is traced back to satirist. And so I figured I had to do my family proud by trying the family trait. I had a couple of guiding principles as I set about beginning the work and as it took shape over the years. The first guiding principle was that of the mythical method. This is what T.S. Eliot wrote about James Joyce's Ulysses, how instead of a straightforward narrative, that there could be connections to literature from the past. And it's in using this mythical method that the world could maybe take a step forward for art's sake. So I was interested in this approach. And then also Julia Kristeva's ideas about intertextuality, which in part were inspired by Bakhtin and his idea of the dialogic of the author, reader, and various texts interacting with each other, and how the book is always in this state of development and never really finished. And it can, in a way, go on without the author constructing meaning as the years go by. Based on the reader, based on interactions with other texts, and so forth. And Kristeva also goes on to say that literature is constructed of a mosaic of quotes. Any text is the absorption and transformation of another. Another way to look at this is that a novel is a palimpsest, and I'll talk about this idea a little bit more later. One of her other ideas was that there are certain codes in every text, and that the reader really needs to understand these codes to better appreciate the work. This links in a way to Eliot's ideas in tradition and individual talent, how these connections to the past, present, and even the future are necessary to understand, to really have a full appreciation of the literature. Here's a little diagram of the interactions between the author, the reader, and the various texts. And as far as some of the major texts that my book intersects with, one of them was the myth of Orpheus, the classic story of the legendary musician who is able to charm people, the animals, the gods, with his gift of song and music, and how he goes to Hades to rescue his beloved Eurydice, as she is in Hades. And in a similar way, my protagonist Rook is a musician, and he too has to rescue his beloved Hula from a Hades of a different sort. So this is one of the major intersections of my book. Another one is with the classic The Satyricon by Petronius, which interacts with my book in a number of ways. Hamlet, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a few minutes. Don Quixote, Either Or by Kierkegaard, The Scarlet Letter, Crime and Punishment, Ulysses, the Bible, the Gita, and here I wanted to have this sort of east-west dialogue going on here, and then Gandhi's autobiography. So all of these books interact with my book in a number of ways, and of course there are some other allusions as well. A palimpsest. What is this? Well, a palimpsest is a manuscript or piece of writing that has been effaced or erased to make room for new writing, but the old writing still remains, so you could still faintly see the traces. And this was done more so in the Middle Ages, long ago, where books were very, very expensive. Often vellum or animal skin was used to make books, and to save money, often the old writing was erased and new writing was applied. This has become a sort of modern-day symbol for the function of writing, where these intersections of meaning seem to go down this endless chain. And so I wanted to apply these ideas, but if you're going to use ideas like this, you have to leave some clues so the reader knows what you're trying to achieve or could find that out. So I leave clues on the cover, in the preface where the manuscript is referred to as a dog-eared vellum, and throughout the narrative. Some examples of palimpsests. And here you could see the old writing beneath the new. And so likewise on my cover, you could see a faint image below the top image. And this image, this palimpsest, is Durer's Melancholia I, this very famous artwork. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in a minute. Another guiding principle was that of ekphrasis, this literary description of or commentary on a visual work of art, where writing maybe tries to describe art, or any form of art tries to describe another form of art, and there's different types of ekphrasis. And you could see that I try to use most of them through the work of Dürer, Van Gogh, Waterhouse, and other artists. So another guiding principle. And then also some of Tolstoy's techniques. One of his innovations, he was an early person to experiment with a stream of consciousness. This became a lot more popular later in modernism, but Tolstoy was one of the early adherents of stream of consciousness. And then his idea of creation by potential, how the work sort of shapes itself. The author doesn't fully know the outcome. Also his idea of radical significance and insignificance, how in life we don't really know as we're living it the major moments and the minor moments, the major characters and the minor characters. Likewise, in a novel, it could turn out the same way. And so I wanted to sort of echo that throughout the work. Tolstoy's idea of polyphony of character and incident, and actually this is Bakhtin talking about Tolstoy and Dostoevsky, how a novel could be an orchestra of sorts, where there's a relationship between the narrator and the character, but the characters have their own independence, their own free will. Bakhtin refers to this as polyphony of character, polyphony of incident, where any number of things could potentially happen. A character is really free, just like Anna Karenina is free from Tolstoy. I'll talk a little bit more about this in the next recording. Thanks.